Welcome back, guys, to AI Noho Radio. This is Teddy alongside with Ro and our special guest, Nicole. So now it's interview time with Nicole. Nicole, tell the listeners what you do here and what do you teach and all.
Sure. I've been teaching at the Art Institute since 2010 in the television and film department, which has changed names a few times, but it's, I think now cinema, television, I don't know what it is, television and film. And I teach mainly the TV studio classes, so TV Studio 1, TV Studio 2, TV Studio 3, broadcast TV. I also really enjoy TV history class. That's one of my favorites. And I've taught editing as well.
Do you teach here at AI, or do you also teach like in Santa Monica or?
Yeah, I teach at the Santa Monica AI. I also teach at Cal State Fullerton in Orange County. I also teach at Rio Hondo College, a community college in Whittier.
Oh wow!
But yeah, starting in a few weeks though, I'm going to be teaching at Moore Park College.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you have all these classes, obviously in different campuses. When you get new students, what are their expectations when it comes to TV and broadcast? Like, what attitude do you see in the students?
Here at AI or
just in general, like.
I think that it varies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited as the curriculum progresses, and like TV Studio 1, I get all sorts of different folks in there. But as the curriculum progresses and the students progress through their matrix, at the end, like in broadcast TV 1 class, that's just a couple quarters before graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Those folks are usually the cream of the crop, the ones who haven't dropped out yet.
Mm-hmm.
And made it to the end.
Stayed strong.
And I have great attitudes with those. That's one of my favorite classes to teach because they're more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what kind of projects do they develop, or some projects that have stood out for you?
In TV Studio 1, they're just really learning how to operate the gear
Mm-hmm.
and understand multi-camera production
Mm-hmm.
and the difference between that and single camera production. And then in TV Studio, we traditionally produce a variety show, which is really fun. So we have different segments like how-to segments, how to cook, how to make avocado toast. Or we have like silly comedians come in, or we've also had singer-songwriters. We've had a full band come into our TV studio and perform.
Cool.
Yeah, and then in TV Studio 3, we recreate a sitcom. Last quarter, we recreated, you can find it on YouTube. My channel is YouTube Instructor Block. If you really want to check it out.
I love it.
But I post some of the videos the students have created there, and there's an episode of Friends, I think, Will and Grace.
Oh.
Frasier, Seinfeld. So they do everything from A to Z and cast brand new actors and light, and so that's TV3. And then in broadcast TV they produce a news magazine show similar to 60 Minutes, and they find characters that they know that have overcome problems, and it's a documentary news style magazine show.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of content that comes out of those classes.
That's awesome. I was actually able to see this set for the Friends episode that you were recreating.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very interesting because I see a lot of commitment from the students, like just the effort they put in. And I think it's also relevant that they get that real life experience, kind of like an insight into what their field would be. So
Definitely. That's the whole point is to give them that hands-on experience. So once they get out there, it's not such a big culture shock and surprise.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think about our show so far? You have to give us some tips.
Some tips?
You're the expert here.
No, I don't. I'm not a radio expert. I'm a TV expert.
Yeah. So you don't see that cross.
But I love your enthusiasm.
Okay. So that's always good, right?
Of course. Attitude is everything.
I like that. I love it.
Yeah.
So what about students who are starting? What would be your advice for those students who are barely starting their career?
Their career at AI,
at AI.
Their student career.
Mm-hmm.
I would say go to class.
That's always a good one.
Show up on time. Do your homework. I mean, it's really kind of basic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I hear a lot of excuses like, oh, well, you know, I wasn't here the first week, so I don't have to turn in my homework the second week. Well, everything's posted up on eCompanion.
Yeah.
You know, check it out. My favorite word is stick-to-itiveness.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
word.
it's a funny word. It pretty just means tenacity, but it's more fun to say stick-to-itiveness.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I think that's the key to life, to success in anything you do. Even my little 8-year-old daughter, she's giving up on piano. She says it's too hard. And, you know, you gotta have stick-to-itiveness. You can't just give up on anything.
I'm all for making up words.
It's actually in a really horrible Christmas children's movie, and a little elf sings the song about stick-to-itiveness when the reindeer gets sick. And he doesn't know what to do. So that's where I stole it from. But it's a fantastic word, and I think students should, no matter what their passion is, they should always stick to it and don't give up when things are hard. And otherwise, you know, they won't succeed. I mean, if you quit, you don't succeed. So I think stick-to-itiveness is pretty much the most important word you can think about in life.
That's awesome. And you were talking about success, you know, like, you know, we're saying having that experience that you will have in the industry and, you know, being persistent and in all your classes. I've also been thinking a lot about collaborations. Have you seen collaborations between, you know, maybe your students and other majors here in school? Because I feel like that's, even here in the club, you know, the film students, the audio students, I feel like we can be more successful when we collaborate together. Like I'm graphic and web design, and I'm helping some of the guys with their logo type design, their business card. What is your opinion in collaborating between us?
Oh, I think that's a fantastic idea. That's what filmmaking is. If you look at the end credits, there everybody is from all over the place. You know, there's even catering involved, and you know, the culinary department can help out with catering and craft service. There's a film when AI first started. There was a film club that called themselves AI Film Collaborations, and I do believe they still have a Facebook page called AI Film Collaborations if you're interested. But they tried to do that same thing where they got people from all over AI to participate because that's what it is. Filmmaking is recreating life essentially on film. So you need everything. You need everybody together.
I love it. Also, you know, I was reading a little bit about your work. I find it very interesting. I know that you worked in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, in a documentary that was about former criminals and how to keep them out of jail. Can you tell us a little bit more about those projects that you've worked on?
Sure. I've been working in the industry since about 1998. I'll say 2000.
Okay.
And I've done all sorts of nonfiction television, you know, award shows, lifestyle programming, which is like home and garden, cooking. I can't even think of all the stuff. Oh, I even did a series for Speed Channel on cars and stuff. So I've kind of worked all over. The most recent one I did, I worked for a company called Mad Jack Entertainment, and the owner of Mad Jack created the TV series Intervention for A&E. The intervention is, if you don't know it, it's about drug addicts and trying to get them to stop being drug addicts. And so he created this new series for Investigation Discovery called Breaking Point, and you can find it on iTunes now. It's no longer on the air. And it's about petty criminals and their family members who want them to stop. So we actually followed people around with cameras who were prostitutes, who were shoplifting, who were drug dealing, and then the family and a district attorney and a police officer. We all had a big meeting and we said, hey, you know, we can help you get out of this lifestyle. And, you know, and these are smart people too, by the way. These are people who are like finding really creative ways of stealing. We're like, why don't you use that in the real world and not be worried about going to jail for it? But so they ended up maybe saying yes or no to some treatment, and I was very proud of that show. We did, I think it was 10 episodes, and so each episode we helped a different person, and it's one of the most proud show. It's the best show I've worked on. You know, it made me feel good about contributing to society and not just making television for entertainment, but making television that helped people.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was gonna say. Like what I've seen throughout your work is that it's always either informative or to help society. You know, it brings up social issues that we should all be concerned about. And it's like, before the show, we were speaking briefly about how young people nowadays gravitate towards shows that are just like, oh, let's go clubbing, let's go drinking, let's go shopping. Like, why? Like, why do you think that's happening? Like, why are
I have
people
no
inclined
idea.
toward that?
It's so sad. Jersey Shore.
Yeah, they're saying here it's because of Jersey Shore.
I think it's fascinating when you a lot of people say that when you get to go and when television gives you access to something that you're not normally exposed to, then it's kind of interesting. So it gives you access to a whole different world. And maybe when you're sitting at home and you're lonely and you wish your boyfriend would text you, it would be nice. It's fun to think of yourself as part of this, like, being rich, and you know your biggest concern is which dress you're going to pick out, and you know if your sister is stealing your lipstick color. I don't know, like that kind of stuff. I'm thinking I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I just make TV, but it seems like maybe people just want a little escape.
Like an escape. I see.
Yeah.
I see what you.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
I just make the TV. I don't know why they watch it. I hope they watch it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I wish there were more and more people like you, who made TV that's actually informative, or because you can be entertained, but at the same time see something that's quality content. I think that's very admirable from your work.
Well, thank you. It's really up to the networks, to hire production companies. There's a lot of people out there who want to make good shows, but because
Supply and demand.
It's all about the ratings and the numbers, and the networks need to really invest in those shows, not just put them on the air, but market them and reach out to people, because there's so much content right now out in the world, whether it's on the internet or on television. It's so hard to stand out these days. As a producer, it's really hard to get attention to your projects because there's just so much out there that the networks really need to invest in marketing to get it seen, at least that first episode, so that once people see it, then they can decide after that if they want to continue watching it. But this is the peak television. This is the golden age. This is where you could see anything you want at any time, anywhere.
Yes.
So it's a very competitive market.
Definitely. And that also shows kind of like the weight of your decisions, right? Like what you watch has a big influence on what's being produced. So basically what people go to, that's what, like supply and demand, like we were saying. People go towards those shows, that's what's going to be produced. Like that's what's going to be
Of course.
Yeah.
It's all about the numbers, and then if somebody is getting 1 million viewers, then the network can get advertisers based on that number and say, hey, there's 1 million viewers for this show, you should pay me X amount of money to advertise. And so if there's only 3 viewers, no advertisers are going to pay any money for it, and therefore that show's going to die. So it really is supply and demand.
I noticed that a lot of TV shows that were on TV are now being shown through Netflix and Hulu, and not that many shows are being shown on actual TV anymore. It's crazy.
I would argue against that. I would say that if you look at I subscribe, I'm a cable subscriber, so I have Time Warner Cable, and there's, 500 channels. So there's a lot of content on cable, on broadcasting cable and satellite television. But I'm not arguing though that Netflix and Hulu and those channels aren't doing very well. They are, but there's still a lot of good content on cable and broadcast television. In fact, that's where Netflix is getting a lot of their content from. They're just repurposing that.
Yeah, I was going to say
content.
there's also that shift. Like maybe a lot of the content on TV now gets seen via mobile devices or something, but it's still the same content that it's produced.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I guess a shift in how people watch TV nowadays.
Exactly.
Especially recording, and people are busy. I guess it's not okay, the show is at 8 and people have to be sitting there waiting for that. It's more like
that's called appointment television.
Okay.
So it's no longer appointment television where you're like, oh gosh, I got to get home and watch the Cosby Show, but, otherwise I'm going to miss it. So that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But they say that that DVR killed the repeat. So now everybody is watching is wanting to watch original shows, and they can watch it anytime they want. So you just don't turn on the TV and see what's on, and if it's a repeat, you're like, I'll watch it. Even though I've seen it go. Instead, you go to your computer or you go to your DVR and you see what you haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So, I know that you have been teaching here for many, many years. So I guess last question would be, what about people who are graduating? We talked about new students. What about people who are basically stepping into the industry? What would be your advice for them? How do they start? Where do they go? Or how do they go about that?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't work in entertainment.
Okay. Everybody quit, everyone.
No, it's a really hard business, and as a freelancer, you're always looking for your next job. But if it's something that you can't see yourself, if you're at a point in your life where you say, you know what, I could never be happy doing anything else except this, then yeah, go for it. But if you're thinking, you know what, I might also be happy being a nurse, or I might also be happy being a firefighter, then I would say go do that. Because you have to constantly be looking for your next job if you're freelance, which is pretty much what everybody is going. And even if you get a job at a network or something, there's like two-year contracts. So as a mom, as a wife, as somebody who has a house, like it's really hard to keep up that lifestyle as a freelancer. And if you're just going into the industry and you've decided that this is the only way I can be happy in life is to do this, then I say definitely go for it and get internships. Work those internships as much as you can, as early as you can while you're still a student, because that's how you get in at these companies, is through internships. And while you're an intern, make sure that you're proving yourself and you're always doing a little extra. If you get there 5 minutes earlier than you're supposed to be and you stay 10 minutes later than you're supposed to stay, then they'll think you're a genius. So it's always about just like doing those internships, doing just a little bit extra to separate, because it's so competitive. You can't just do the minimum and expect to be the next Steven Spielberg. You always have to be doing a little bit extra than everybody else.
That's really good advice. And I think it applies to everyone, right, Teddy? Like, and no matter your major, I think it applies to all of us here. Any more questions you have, Teddy? Are we done? Anything
I really
else
want to
you
see a
wanna
TV studio upstairs. I know, like, I seen, like, I peeked through it and I saw a leather couch. I'm like, you guys have a leather couch? Oh,
Leather?
Yeah.
We do not have a leather couch.
There's not a leather couch?
I don't know where you were looking through.
It's an IKEA couch that one of the legs keeps breaking off, so they keep No, it's not leather, but it's very lovely. It's a great TV studio. It's high def, and in fact, it used to be right here in the first floor when I first started, and when the audio major came in, they kicked us out. We got shoved upstairs in 5th floor. So we have to bring our giant sets up through the elevators. That's not fun. But yeah, it's great. It's a great little studio. And
awesome.
You're welcome to come up anytime and check it out.
We should definitely go check it out. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for being here again. I know you must be super busy, so we really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a little break, and we will be back with football, because everybody wants to hear about football, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be right back.